Hey guys, this is Scott from the Forgot to Grow podcast. Welcome to another edition of ReWatching Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Today I'm going to be talking about Season 1, Episode 16, End of the Beginning. So if those of you who are new to the channel, I'm just going to be reading off the IMDb plot summary at the beginning to give you guys an idea of what happened in this episode, then I can give you my thoughts about this episode, followed by some foreshadowing and Easter eggs I noticed in this episode. Alright guys, so let's just get started. So the Wikipedia, not the IMDb, I keep saying IMDb, but I mean the Wikipedia plot summary for this episode, number 16 of Season 1, End of the Beginning, says, Agents Garrett, Triplet, Hand, S.h.i.e.L.D, and Blake join the team in the hunt for the clairvoyant. The agents pair up to pursue different candidates while searching for Thomas Nash. May and Blake encounter Peterson / Deathlock, so that's Mike Peterson / Deathlock, and tag him with a tracker. They soon converge on his new location while Triplet and Simmons stay at the hub with Hand. The team finds Nash, a vegetative man on life support who communicates through a computer. When Nash boasts about being the clairvoyant and says that Centipede will kill Skye, Ward kills him. Coulson and Skye soon realize that Nash was not the clairvoyant and that the clairvoyant is a high-ranking member of S.H.I.E.L.D. Coulson accuses Ward of working with the clairvoyant and shooting Nash, but they are interrupted when Fitz discovers May's secret phone line, which we learned about in the last episode. As Coulson and Skye stand off with May in the hangar, control of the bus is hijacked by the hub, where Hand orders everyone on board to be killed. Dun, dun, dun. So that's the Wikipedia plot summary for this episode. As you guys can see, a lot starts to happen. The name of this episode is very suiting, as in the end of the beginning of this show, meaning the end of this first season. We're getting culminating a lot of the events. We're starting to learn a little bit more about the clairvoyant. We get a fake clairvoyant at first. We learn a little bit more about he's tied into S.H.I.E.L.D. And overall, I just really like this episode for these different elements that tie into the show overall, that just make the show so well written, having these different elements all come together at this point, and then even start, even though it hasn't finished yet, it's just the start of the finish. You can see how some of the pieces are starting to come together in this episode, and that's what I particularly like about this. As you could see in the plot summary, we got a lot of the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. who we've had throughout the season, like Garrett, Triplet, Hand, S.h.i.e.L.D, and Blake show up. So I thought that was pretty cool. You get a little bit of a connection in. You're not 100%. It also gives you kind of an idea of who it could be. Any one of these guys. I think that's another reason why we get them all in this episode, is to kind of highlight that in your mind. The fact that I'm rewatching, so in hindsight, you know a little bit more about this. The fact that the clairvoyant is Garrett, and so it's kind of funny, this whole situation going on. Garrett kind of leading the way on this, and the fact that it's a fake clairvoyant. I find it a little weird that Coulson doesn't put that quite together at the end, but I guess he's kind of rolling with it in the moment. That's why he kind of accuses May. It is kind of suspicious that May has that phone line. I can't remember exactly. I still forget who she was talking to. I think it was maybe Fury, but I don't know for sure. I can't remember exactly who she was communicating with. Don't tell me, guys, in the comments, though. I want to learn this in the next few episodes as we learn about this through rewatching. So what are some of the things I wrote down? I already mentioned the different agents. Deathlock made a reappearance in this episode, which I really like. We get a little bit more. We see that he's becoming even more and more robotic. When I was seeing that in this episode, it made me think, he does eventually start to go the opposite way. So he's become a little bit more human as the seasons progress, when he's not under the control of the clairvoyant anymore, and he joins S.H.I.E.L.D. as kind of like a secret Black Ops kind of guy who shows up every few seasons. So I'm curious. I can't remember exactly how he kind of, does it just normal healing, or is there something else that kind of helps him regenerate and not be so robotic looking? I can't remember, guys. Let me know if you guys remember in the comments below. What else do I have written down? Skye in this episode officially becomes an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. She gets the badge and everything, and everybody says congratulations. It's a very awesome, touching moment, especially it's considering we built up over the first 15 episodes of this season. She's taken some bullets for the team. She's kind of earned her way into having the S.H.I.E.L.D., so it's really nice that she's officially got the S.H.I.E.L.D. badge. And I really like that about this episode. We see that Skye and Garrett have a little talk, and there's a little bit of alluding to the fact that Ward has changed a little bit because of Skye, and he's become a little bit more, I don't want to say emotional, but maybe more he has more emotions in him. His feelings of like for Sky are kind of like clouding the fact that he's not. He's still the cold-hearted guy, but there's other emotions in the mix now, which he's not used to, not really sure how to handle. In hindsight, we know he doesn't handle it well at all, but it's really interesting to kind of see that kind of foreshadowing with Garrett and Sky having that conversation. That he had, like the one line I wrote down is that Garrett says to him, to Sky, something about that Ward now has someone to fight for, meaning her, and then he kind of tries to trail off and say, and the whole team in general, but you could tell that they really intentionally wanted you to see that Garrett's really trying to hint to Sky that Ward's got some more feelings for her than just, this, typical, SO and trainee thing, relationship mentee. You know what I mean. What else did I write down, though? We got Deathlock almost kills Blake, which I think is pretty interesting, which I think they kind of should... I can't remember exactly how that ties in, and I don't remember why I wrote that down. Next thing I wrote down was we get a reappearance of Fitz's drone things. I don't remember, I meant to look up the exact name of those things, but I really like those, the ones that are in the briefcase, they go flying, they show the camera footage around. I really like those little things. I like that gives reason for them to bring Fitz into the field. I particularly like, when I think about this episode, the fact that it kind of separates Fitz and Simmons in this episode for that particular reason. There's no reason for Simmons to be there, but Fitz need to be there to operate those, even though I feel like anybody really could. He just opens a briefcase and hits a thing, but he does also use the tablet, and he does help with technical stuff. So, but in general, I just like that they brought that back. I like that they give reason for Fitz to be involved in the mission. Then we get the fake clairvoyant with the Thomas, which I really like, especially when you first watch this, and even on the rewatch, you kind of see how it's kind of like, oh, okay, I could see how this is kind of maybe like a misplay, like a kind of a misdirection from somebody on the team, especially when you're rewatching this. You're just like, oh, okay, I can see how Garrett set this up pretty easily. Just got them to get, they forced this, vegetative man into having to do something. He couldn't speak up and defend himself, saying like, no, this isn't me, I'm being held against my will, even though I feel like he definitely could have done a little bit more eye things. You see a little of eye acting from that guy, but Ward ends up killing that guy, which I think is really interesting in hindsight, because we know him and Ward and Garrett / the clairvoyance connection that we learn about in the next few coming episodes as we get into the end of the season. So what else did I write down? There was a line that says Fury is waiting for Coulson back at the Triskelion, which I think is interesting, because I believe this ties into the timing of Captain America Winter Soldier, when the Triskelion is, blown up pretty much. What exactly? There's some shit go down there during the events of Winter Soldier, when Hydra, emerges and tries to take over, and all the Captain America stuff. We all know what happened in Captain America Civil War, but I think it's interesting that line kind of connects that in, because we know Fury at some point is at the Triskelion in the Winter Soldier, I believe. I think his office is there at one point. I'm pretty sure he's at the Triskelion at some point before his fake death in that. But I really thought that's interesting that they dropped that line in, and that Coulson thinks he's going to get answers, but then soon after this he thinks that, Fury ends up dying, I think. I'm not sure if Coulson's one of the ones that actually... I can't remember. Guys, let me know if Coulson ends up thinking that Fury's dead like the rest of the world, or if he's in on it like Captain America. Definitely let me know, guys. What else did I write down? Sky and Ward have a talk. Did it to keep her safe. So Ward and Sky have a conversation about, why Ward killed the clairvoyant, and he was saying he did it to protect her and the team, and he, you start to see how he's kind of admitting a little bit, or starting to realize he does have stronger feelings for Sky in particular, but he's still fighting it, and I really like that you can kind of see that internal struggle, especially on the rewatch. Obviously, we know that eventually he confesses those feelings, so I really like that kind of, that conversation, how you kind of see little bits of it being foreshadowed. What else did I write down, guys? Coulson and Sky realize that the clairvoyant is an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. I feel like this should have been realized a lot sooner, I don't know, but in their defense, they do live in a world where, psychics is a potential possibility. Like, 2 of them got brought back by aliens, so, so I really like that. And then the last thing I wrote down was that Fitz discovers that May's encoded phone line, and then Coulson thinks May is the clairvoyant. I already talked about how I thought that was a little, not strange, but I think that that happened because, you know, it's in the sequence of events in a sense. It kind of fits in the moment for him, but, you know, obviously in this next episode, I believe May had a chance to explain herself a little bit more. I don't think she completely explains right away, but we obviously eventually get May back, and their trust is all kind of redone. I can't remember exactly what happens, but don't let me know about that, guys. It's only a few more episodes. I gotta learn about what happens between those guys. But that's everything I've written down for this episode. I'm excited to get to the next few episodes, guys, though. But what did you guys notice in this episode that I may have missed? What did you guys like, maybe dislike? Definitely let me know in the comments below. Thanks again for joining me again, guys, and have a good one.